Hi my spoopies, it is Kaylee and today I wanted to make a really special video for you about my very first experience with taxidermy and stuffing a small mammal, an animal. So for those of you who don't know, taxidermy has been like a bit of a hobby of mine for about a year now. I started with insects because taxidermy is a very expensive hobby if you want to do like animals, especially large animals. So I kind of started out with bugs, which have always been kind of fascinating and beautiful to me anyway. So I started pinning insects, mostly butterflies, but also some beetles and stuff like that. And I actually started selling some of my pinned insects in an Etsy shop, and I will link to it down below if you are interested. But yeah, it's just a really relaxing and fun hobby for me. It's like a really nice, cool art form. I love that it combines like art and science. It is both a science and an art form, so that's fascinating to me. That being said, disclaimer, I realize that taxidermy is not for everyone. It is not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone will like it. Most people think it's kind of creepy and weird. I totally get that. So yeah, this video is more for people who are interested in taxidermy but aren't really sure where to get started, and you know, basically just me sharing my info and my personal experience with you guys, and hopefully it benefits someone. And if you would like me to make a video on how I pin insects, let me know in the comments below. I've thought about making a video like that for you guys if you're curious, but I'm not really sure if anybody would be interested in that. So first of all, here is the final product of my very first taxidermy class in stuffing an animal. Obviously we did young rabbits, and I think he came out pretty nice. So this is good side. I feel like this looks the best, and over here is his bad side. You can kind of see where I messed up on his eye a little bit, but still not too terribly bad looking, especially for my first time, I think. So yeah, I did something a little bit different for my first time. So if you look up taxidermy, you will see that there's schools all over the country. I wasn't prepared to go to a taxidermy school just because it costs like thousands and thousands of dollars. I would have had to have traveled for it, and at that point I wasn't really sure if it was something I was super into that I wanted to commit that much time and effort to. So I was looking for alternatives, if there was a way to do like a taxidermy workshop where it was like working with one specimen for one day or something, and not like, you know, months long of taxidermy school. And through my internet searches, I found, surprisingly enough, a young woman who is also from Michigan. Her name is Mickey Alice Quapis, and once again I will link to her website. But yeah, this young lady happened to offer her services traveling around the country teaching taxidermy workshops to anyone who wanted to learn. And it was basically exactly what I was looking for. It was a knowledgeable taxidermist working in the industry, accredited, all that good stuff, and she provided all the supplies, even the specimens, and she would just walk you step by step through the process of taxidermy. And she is like a really big deal. She's really good. She like like I said, she travels all over the country offering these workshops. She worked for various natural history museums all over the country, especially the Chicago Natural History Museum, which, you know, as you probably know, is a big deal. It's a very nice museum. I've been there. They have amazing taxidermy exhibits. And so yeah, I was very excited. I signed up for the next time she was going to be in Detroit. I believe she was offering 2 classes on 2 different days. One was for rabbits and one was for mice. I opted for the rabbit class because, I don't know, I was just more interested in doing a rabbit. I wanted like a slightly larger mount. And the workshop ended up being done in this empty space. It was like a dance studio or something that was being rented out to her for the day. It was connected to a coffee shop. A little bit confusing figuring out where to enter the place, but once it was in there, it was all good. And it was a very nice, relaxing space. And this, by the way, this was back in April, like right, I believe it was Easter weekend, in fact. It was right around that time. So this was quite a few months ago. I really enjoyed the class. There were a few other people there. I thought it was interesting. All of them were women. Most of them were like a little bit older. There were some around my age. And everyone had like their own story of like why they were into taxidermy, why they were there, like how they found out about this workshop. And it was just really interesting getting to like meet other people who were interested in taxidermy and talking about it. Miss Mickey Alice Quapis was very forthcoming with us. She was very frank and honest, and she was very open to answering questions, which I thought was really cool. I was interested in how like working as a young woman in an industry that's predominantly dominated by older men, like how that affected her, how it affected how other people treated her, things like that. And she was very open and honest with all of her info and answers. I loved that she not only walked us step by step through the taxidermy process, but she also taught us like some of the history of taxidermy. A lot of it I did know because, like I said, I've been interested in taxidermy for a long time and have researched and read a lot about it, but I definitely learned some things I did not know, and I love learning new things. But yeah, some info about the animals and the processes we used. We were given small white young rabbits. I believe she said they were about 2 to 3 months old, and these were feeder animals, meaning they were raised specifically for the purpose to be fed to meat-eating pets, whether that be like large reptiles or, you know, dogs, whatever. So these animals were not captured or killed or anything like that with the specific intent to make them into taxidermy. She just has like ethical suppliers that she works with who give her animals that, you know, they are already going to be killed to be food animals, and she's just giving them a second life as a taxidermy mount, which in a way I think is a lot cooler than, you know, just ending up as food and having their fur and stuff just thrown away. A lot of people, when I talk about taxidermy or my interest in it, they have this kind of macabre, grim idea that I go out and murder the animal myself. Like I just go out and kill an animal and then just like rip its skin off and there's blood and guts everywhere, and I'm here to tell you that it is not like that at all. I think the majority of people who work in taxidermy, and this is just my perception, if you know a lot more about taxidermy, if you are a like professional taxidermist out there and you know more than I do, please feel free to set the record straight and, you know, tell me. But from my perception, the taxidermist basically skins the animal or receives the skin, tans it, prepares it to be workable, and then either puts it on a form, stuffs it, mounts it, works with it, whatever. It's mostly about dealing with the parts of the animal, like the skin, all that stuff, trying to make the animal look alive again. It's not focused on killing and dismembering the animal like so many people seem to think it is. I'm not really sure why. People seem to think of taxidermy as like glorified butchering for some reason. I don't know, it's kind of strange to me. But I was like, I have a pretty strong stomach. I'm not very like upset by like blood and gore and, you know, organs and things. I had no problems when we dissected animals in high school and stuff like that, but I was still a little bit worried, a little bit nervous when we got there, and I have to say it was a lot cleaner, and I don't know, it wasn't very gruesome at all. It, like you would expect, there isn't blood everywhere. There was some blood dripping out from the rabbit's face, which is just something that happens when an animal dies. I got kind of lucky and I got a rabbit that wasn't bleeding like out of its mouth or nose like at all. Everyone else's was like an anime movie going on over here. And most of it is pretty much just peeling the skin off, working your fingers around in the little pockets between the skin and the muscle and just kind of massaging it, breaking off some of that connective tissue. And it's sort of like just, it kept reminding me of like you're trying to sew little rabbit pajamas and you're just turning it inside out. That sounds really weird, but I used to sew plushies and stuff all the time, and it reminded me so much of sewing, because so much of sewing is turning stuff inside out, sewing it, and then turning it right side out. And that's kind of what we were doing. It's like we were turning the skin inside out to get the rabbit out of it, and then once we got him out, we just turn it back and turn it right side out again. And yeah, and then just worked on it. I'm not going to talk too much about the process because I feel like it's really rude to take a class that is given by like some kind of teacher and something and then just try and give like a watered down, condensed like version of it, like, oh yeah, I'm a pro, I know everything about this now because I took one class. Like, I think that's really disrespectful, and it would be really disrespectful to my teacher and all the things that I learned. So I'm just going to suggest that if you are interested in this and you want to learn how to do it, there are many options out there for you. If you can't make it to one of Miss Alice Quapas's classes, because I don't think she's going to be touring much in the future anymore. She told us at the particular workshop I was at that she was going to be winding down on that because she's focusing on opening up her own space in Chicago, and it is called the Niche Lab. It is already opened. I think it opened in October, and I will connect you to a link down there. If you happen to be in the Midwest area or you plan a trip on to Chicago or something, I would highly recommend going and checking it out. I haven't been yet, but I'm hoping, and I'm just so hoping that in the future I will get the opportunity to, because it looks so cool and she has so many cool learning things going on there all the time. Not just taxidermy, but just all kinds of different things. Anything to do with crafting and science and learning. It's like amazing. I want to go there so badly. But yeah, there are options out there if you want to get into this. If you want to go to taxidermy school, like I said, it's a really huge commitment and it's a whole lot of money. But if you're really, you know, into it and really want to do it, then hey, you do you. But I would kind of recommend taking baby steps and trying to seek out a workshop like this, or heading to the Niche Lab, or even I follow Mickey Alice Quapas on Instagram. I know, I'm like such an obsessed fangirl, but she recently released an ebook that details the taxidermy process that she uses in her class, which what we did was a soft mount, which means that there wasn't a form inside the animal. We basically just filled it with some wire and different supportive things, and mostly just like cotton and polyester filling. So it's kind of like a stuffed animal, like a literal stuffed animal made out of a real animal skin, which is really interesting. And it doesn't work for everything. Like, I can't imagine doing a soft mount like deer or fox or something like that. But for smaller animals, you know, it works fine. They're not gonna have as much structure or support as if it had an actual wooden or foam form. So that is my next goal that I would like to learn about, is working with an animal hide on an actual form and customizing the form and things like that. Which, again, I'm hoping like maybe eventually I will be able to go to the Niche Lab and take a class in that. But yeah, if you're interested, I keep getting sidetracked talking about other things, but if you're interested, like I said, seek out the Niche Lab, look for someone local to you who might do workshops sort of like this, and if no other option, buy Mickey Alice Quapas's ebook that will detail this whole process, and it will tell you what tools you need, and I think she even sells toolkits and stuff, so she's just crazy and amazing, and like is basically bringing taxidermy to the masses, to anyone who wants to do it, which I love, because so many people are into this as a hobby and the whole vulture culture thing and everything, and I feel like so many people aren't doing it right, or they're, you know, I'm not here to judge anybody else for the way they do things, but it's like if I want to learn how to do something, I want to learn how to do it right. I want to learn how to do it from a professional, you know what I mean? Just makes sense to me. So the reason it took me so long to make this video and talk about it is just because when I first did my bunny, I was not very happy with him. After he dried, his face was like quite smashed in. He didn't really look like a bunny. He looked like a vaguely bunny shaped blob thing. I don't know. I was like really ashamed of him and didn't know what to do for a long time. And recently I just took him out. I soaked his face in some water for just a few minutes, like 10 to 15 minutes, so that the pelt would get nice and soft and workable again. And then I just kind of worked with his face a little more, positioned it more how I wanted. I stuffed more cotton in through his mouth hole so that basically I could bring more of the bunny shape back to his face. And now I am pretty pleased, I must say. I think he's a pretty cute little bunny guy. I got this little plaque to put him on. It is just a cheapo piece of wood from Michael's that I got for like $2, and I just spray painted it black because all black everything. Yeah, I'm quite fond of him. I'm looking forward to displaying him prominently now and proudly telling people that yes, I stuffed him myself. And like I said, I don't think it's too bad for my first time, right? So anyway, that's my first time taxidermy experience. What do you guys think of my bunny? How do you think I did? And like I said, let me know if you're interested in me posting more taxidermy videos in the future, or some videos on how I pin my insects. I will be happy to share that with you guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate you all. If you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so if you want to. I would love to have you as part of my coven of beautiful spoopies. And never forget that you are beautiful just the way you are, and to always be yourself. I will see you guys later. Bye.